This is your captain speaking. We will be preparing for flight shortly. We are expecting some cloudy weather on the flight to Dublin. Or is it Berlin? I no longer remember. Don't worry. I'll find our way there. We're expecting some sped up time to happen some way between now and then, so you don't have to do the full hour flight. And in the meantime, I'm going to be handing you over to your entertainment for the flight.
Hello, thank you for choosing to fly with Weekly Waypoint Airlines. So obviously Microsoft Flight Simulator came out on Xbox and Xbox Game Pass this week, and I thought I'd give it a try, and I'm enjoying it a little bit more than I expected. I kind of expected to be the kind of person who would download it, who would do the tour of finding my home city, finding my house, finding my place of work, finding where I grew up, seeing how it all looks, and then going, neat, and uninstalling. But instead I did that, and then I was like, well, there's a whole planet to explore, so I should probably do that at least before I install it. I should probably explore the whole planet before I uninstall it, shouldn't I? Here's a quick tip before I get too far into the game. The footage you are watching is, well, first of all, it's from a Series S, if you're wondering how it looks like on a Series S. And second of all, you can delete the offline mode. If you are like me and you are very much used to playing games which are always online anyway, and you don't have difficulty, or you're privileged enough to have an internet connection that's good enough to make sure that you don't have difficulty, with disconnects and stuff like that, and I'm used to MMOs and stuff like that, so again, I'm used to it. So if you delete the offline world, you save about 45 gigabytes, I think, if I remember rightly, which is about half a file size of the full game. And again, this is just what it looks like without the offline world being installed, so if my internet went down, I'm sure this would crash, but if the internet went down and you had the offline mode anyway, you would just be left with a far inferior looking version of Flight Sim, because the offline files do not look very good. This game leverages some sort of cloud streaming tech. You're not streaming the game, but you're streaming kind of like, to my understanding, you're streaming like some of the graphics, like the world assets, because it's obviously downloading stuff from Bing Maps and then using machine learning to kind of generate the buildings and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's not like it doesn't need any file size natively, because you do have stuff installed to make sure that it figures out how to download that stuff and apply it in real time. You can adjust the size of a rolling cache, which just kind of means, well, actually I'm not entirely sure what it means. I'm guessing it just means the size of the area around you that gets loaded in and loaded out. So for instance, I've got 30 gigabytes applied to mine, so I don't know if that means all the way to bloody Dublin or Berlin. Again, I don't remember where I went. Dublin, it's Dublin, sorry everyone. So yeah, I don't know whether that's already fully rendered, because, I've got that big of a cache, or I basically don't know how much a cache of that size nets me. Maybe I should be putting more into it and you're not seeing the best that this game could look, I don't know. Now don't worry, I didn't jump straight into airliner flights. In fact, I even did some of the tutorials before I got bored doing the tutorials. So I know a little bit about how to fly a plane, but I am flying with as many assists on as it will let me have, because I am not here for the planes, I'm here for the planet. And as far as that goes, I've got to say, so when you start a game and you get in a little Cessna and you go as close to the ground as you can to kind of like figure out what it looks like in the game, and although I've heard there's a drone mode where you can kind of like have a better look, which I didn't actually do, but I did fly down my street, I crashed onto my house, all that stuff. And yeah, up close it doesn't look great, because it's not like a city that's had lots of love and care put into it, because it's not a famous city that I live in. So it's fully just like algorithmically generated stuff. And some of my neighbours are flat. I happen to live in a posh Victorian house, which is not true, but I'm rich in Flight Simulator, and that's what matters, damn it. So if you're listening to a lot of hype surrounding the world in Flight Simulator, and you're expecting to come in and see a fully realised version of Planet Earth, no, we're not there yet. We're still quite a fair ways from that. They have said that they're going to keep working on the game for like 10 years after launch, so I don't know, maybe we will get there in 2030, but I'm not sure if I'll still care about Flight Sim by then. As you can see, what this game excels at is what it's supposed to excel at, which is seeing the world from above, and the clouds in particular are fucking stellar. Hopefully it comes through in this video just how cool the clouds are, but there are moments where you're just going into clouds, or more often when you're just coming out of clouds, and you just like swirl the camera around and you see this 3D expanse of clouds in from a perspective which you've never really seen before, from a way which no game has ever really bothered to render before, and it's a little bit breathtaking the first time you see it, to be honest. And again, do consider that I'm in full immersive mode at this point. I've seen the flight from the airstrip to clouds, so I've got kind of an idea in my head of, at least in this virtual plane, where everything is situated and how high I've climbed and how far I've flown. And when you do get immersed like that, it's really fucking cool just to see like planet Earth passing you by underneath. I'm currently doing the LA to Austin flight because I'm a big fan of Rooster Teeth, and Funhouse people and Achievement Hunter people are two different kind of sections of that company which frequently work together and collaborate and stuff, and they'll talk about taking the flight, at least before the pandemic, from LA to Austin or from Austin to LA. And I was curious as to like, I mean, this is pretty much the only flight I know, like flight in quotation marks, of like a flight that planes actually do often. I was like, hey, like I can fly that in real time and see what it would be like, and I'm using this plane and it's apparently going to take me around 4.5 hours, which I'm guessing would be around about the time it would take in real life. I think that's kind of the aim of it anyway, that this is Flight Simulator. Apologies if I'm seriously wrong, I know nothing about aviation. But yeah, I've got a save file where I'm about halfway through that, and honestly, like, yeah, it's a lot of when you're getting into the right area, and you don't really have to do any adjustments, and you've still got hours left of flight. You're just watching a screen of the world going by, and if you're unlucky enough, like I was in this video, to have real-time weather enabled when it's just very grey, and you're flying at a dumb elevation where all you're really seeing is the grey, then yeah, it can be a little bit like, what am I even doing? But if you have a podcast on while you're flying, you know, it's definitely not a game to sink your full attention into. When you're up in the air and you've got a long flight ahead of you, just put a podcast on or something. Like, use it as an excuse to catch up on some podcast episodes or listen to an audiobook or something. And yeah, it's not an experience that I'm probably going to keep installed on my Xbox for all time. It's not going to, you know, keep me entertained more than something like Doom Eternal or something would. It's a completely different kind of experience. But it's just a cool toy. And if you've got an Xbox, you should seriously download it and check it out if you've got Game Pass. I also get a lot of joy knowing that I could not run this looking anywhere near this good on my PC, and the fact that it even runs this well on a Series S is something close to wizardry. I did have issues getting it downloaded though. It was annoying. They let you pre-install it, but then they had more to download on launch day, to the point where I didn't have time to play it before work, and that greatly annoyed me. And then you want to download the free world update packs because they basically put more effort into making the world look realistic in certain areas, and the download servers from Microsoft Flight Sim can be weirdly slow at times, but other than that, yeah, it's a good game. If I do another video, Weekly Waypoint set in Flight Sim, I'll be sure to make sure it's not real-time weather. I'll make it a sunny day or something, because there's a lot of video that looks like this. But you're watching nearly an hour of footage sped up, so I didn't really feel like re-recording it, to be honest. In other news, the Halo Infinite beta came out and I did not get invited, but that's fine, because it looks so good. I mean, it's also not fine because it looks so good, I want to play it, but it definitely looks like the kind of game that I'm going to be sinking a lot of time into. And I already sink a lot of time into the Master Chief Collection, I know. But oh my god, the multiplayer looks so good. And people who like Halo 2 and Halo 3 say that this is like harkening back to that kind of multiplayer. And people who like Halo 4's multiplayer like me say it's still like modern and fun, and it's like the perfect blend of the two. And I just cannot wait to get my hands on it. The sound design is amazing, the guns sound amazing, the soundtrack sounds amazing, everything sounds amazing. Paying no attention to the fact that my plane is plummeting on the screen right now, I just realised I was potentially too high. I'm a fun pilot to fly with. Also this week I picked up Crash and Spyro for Xbox Series S because they were on sale and because I'm a sucker, damn it. I think I mentioned this last week actually, didn't I? But I've been playing it now. I was like, I'm just going to quickly run through Crash Bandicoot 1 because most of my experiences with that game, my more recent experiences with it have been trying to get golden relics, right? And so I'm like, oh well, you know, that's difficult, but playing through the base game I don't have to worry about time and stuff, it'll be easy. I forgot, that game is not easy, and there's going to be a video coming out very soon this week of my time in it and how not easy it was. There's a reason why my first ever video in that game was called The Many Deaths of Crash Bandicoot, and honestly this video does it justice. But I bring it up because I want to say that it's going to be under a new kind of term. It's still going to be a shenanigans style video, it's still going to have the purple colouring on the thumbnail and all of that, but it's going to be called Kritigri Jumps, and it's basically an offshoot of miscellaneous shenanigans, because I feel like I'm uploading too many of those miscellaneous shenanigans style videos, and it becomes a little bit too like abstract when it comes to theming of a video, what people can expect going into it, and frankly what I can find if I'm like, where was that video where I played Crash Bandicoot, you know, that kind of thing. So Kritigri Jumps, I have got some ideas basically, let me read them out for you, they're going to be genre specific. Kritigri Jumps is going to cover all your platformers, your collectathons, your Metroidvanias, stuff like that. Kritigri Zooms is coming back, that's going to be obviously all your racing style games. Kritigri Delves is going to be any kind of game that's about, like, it could be a roguelike, but it doesn't have to be. It's going to be any game that's about kind of like delving into a dungeon to get loot or something like that. So Death's Door would count as that, The Ascent would count as that. Just any kind of like, I don't know how to phrase it, but you know what I mean. When you'll see it, you'll know what I mean. And for first person shooters, I'm thinking of something like Kritigri Blasts, because, you know, I just started blasting that meme, but I know a better name for it would be Kritigri Shoots, but also that name has a lot of negative connotations associated to it. Like, I don't want that image to be in anyone's brain when they look at my videos, but maybe I'm taking that too seriously. Let me know if you think I am. Maybe it should be called Kritigri Shoots, I'm undecided. I'm sure there'll be some other genres that pop up eventually. I'm still going to have the specific game ones like Adventures in Tamriel and stuff like that. I'm still going to have blind ventures for games which I've decided I'm going to do a playthrough of no matter how far I get through, and you know, all that kind of thing. But there's still going to be miscellaneous shenanigans videos, because there's going to be games like Microsoft Flight Simulator where I don't envision myself putting lots of hours into it, or there being lots of other genre style games like other flight simulators that I'm going to want to make. I'm not going to make a Kritigri Soars, basically, because there's no need for it, because it would just be Flight Simulator videos, and I don't think there's going to be lots of Flight Simulator videos. So, one last thing I want to mention as we come in for this precarious landing at a very high speed is Forza Motorsport 7 announced that it's going to be reaching end-of-life status, and for those of you who are unaware, it means it will no longer be able to be bought digitally, or from first-party retailers, I guess. Like, you could probably still buy it second-hand, but I've got a Series S, and I can't buy it second-hand, and I saw this pop up for Forza Horizon 3 about a month before I suddenly became interested in Xbox and started considering getting my Series S, and I didn't care about buying it. I was like, Forza Horizon 4 is really good, but, you know, I've already got that game, I don't need another. And I regretted it when I realised I couldn't buy it anymore or play it on my Series S, and then I had to get it from CD keys, and that was a whole thing which I mentioned many episodes ago. And so with Forza Motorsport 7, I decided that sure, I will pick it up, even though like I wasn't super invested in that game. I would use my Microsoft points to bring it down, so that I could get the Ultimate Edition of the game for £12.50, just so there's no FOMO. I mean, never buy stuff based on FOMO, although I guess that's what I did here, but I just wanted to know that I could play that game even after it leaves the service, because obviously it won't be on Game Pass anymore either, and I did occasionally enjoy playing that game. And now that I've bought it, and now that I own it, I've actually been sinking some time into that game, more than I ever have before. And I'm getting into that kind of space that I got into with Gran Turismo Sport about a year back, of, you know, I am getting into this simulation racing, and while I'm definitely more of a Forza Horizon kind of guy, I really am enjoying sinking my teeth into Forza Motorsport 7, and I'm probably going to see how many achievements I can get out of it, and it's currently my go-to game for listening to a podcast while playing alongside Microsoft Flight Simulator, of course. And funnily enough, Minecraft, I've been playing a bit of Minecraft, but that's mostly for Audible and audiobooks, because when I put that shit on peaceful mode, I can pretty much zone out and dig for ore while I'm listening to the Wheel of Time. Speaking of Wheel of Time, I finished a third book recently and put a video out about it. Go watch that if you haven't already. Either way, that's it. Flight over. Yes, this is where I'm parking. Someone else can taxi the plane. I suck at that. Thank you for taking this flight with me and watching this video. I will see you next week. Or, you know, in a couple of days for the next video. I doubt there's anyone who only watches the Waypoint.